Talking to former Saskatchewan Roughrider Plaza of Honor member Kerry Joseph is with us today. Kerry, thanks so much for making some time in Austin, Texas. Is that where you are?
Well, actually, right now, I'm actually back in Chicago, waiting for the movers to come to grab our things and to get us moved down to Austin. So probably within the next 48 to 72 hours, I'll be back in Austin.
So, University of Texas, special assistant. You're into the college ranks. Hey, Longhorns, what a franchise, what an organization down there. Why the move back to college for you?
Well, for me, it was an opportunity after I didn't get a chance. I didn't get hired by any NFL teams through the hiring cycle. So, I wanted to be coaching somewhere. Didn't want to have to sit out a year. An opportunity came and presented itself at the University of Texas with Coach Steve Sarkisian and his staff, and I really jumped on board with it. Great organization, great university, good great football team with some great players. So it's just a great opportunity for me to stay in the game and just work around some great coaches.
Sarkisian, obviously, a little cup of coffee with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Did you guys know each other a lot before this opportunity comes up?
We actually didn't. We knew of each other, but we didn't know each other. Now in college football these days, they have general managers. So I knew the general manager, and he brought my name up to Sarkisian, and he was on board with it. So it's been good. I had a good 5 weeks of spring ball, and now I get a chance to get myself and my wife moved down to Austin, Texas.
It's a lot different since the last time you were involved in college, I'm sure, especially since you played at McNeese. The transfer portal and now the NIL. How do you describe how much that's changed, especially with a big school like Texas?
You know, my last year was 2019. I coached before I went to Seattle, and they didn't have NIL. The transfer portal was different. It has truly changed. It has a big impact in the way recruiting takes place now. It's almost like free agency, and you have opportunities that if guys are not happy in certain places, they have a chance to go somewhere else. So it has a big impact on the game of football. And when you have some universities that have more resources,
Yeah.
they have a better chance of grabbing players. I think where the people that get hurt is the smaller universities when you don't have the budget to hold on to your guys. That you get a good guy and he has a great season, you struggle to hold on to that player. So that's who really gets impacted by the NIL and the transfer portal.
Is it a lot trickier to coaching as well? Because you go back to your playing days, right? Where, now it seems like if if an athlete doesn't like the way a coach looks at him, he can go into the portal.
Yeah, that's you got to be very weary of that and know you know what type of coaching that kid can take. Not saying that you have to go soft on the kid, but it's just nowadays in the generation, college, NFL, you have to really build a great relationship. You have to really build some trust to know what that kid can take. How much you can push him and when to pull back, but not but also making sure that everything that you're giving them allows them to be at their very best.
Before that, like you said, you're in Chicago. You're moving things down. You're with the Bears in the NFL. That NFL grind, like, what's it like as a coach coaching in the NFL? How many hours a day are you guys putting in?
I mean, you probably put in anywhere from 14 to 16 hours a day. Uh, it's a grind, but you know what? You love it. And to be honest with you, when you have the right mentality and you don't look at it as a grind, it's really not that bad. The thing about the NFL, when you get into the off season, like most organizations, you work in 4-day work weeks. You Monday through Thursday in the off season, so you got 3-day weekends. So you get a little bit of your time back, and you can spend time with your family and your loved ones. But you also know when the season hits, it's go time, and you know, it's not work. I haven't worked a day in my life.
That's a good way to look at it. Chicago, though, they haven't been to the postseason. I think it was 2020. Probably a lot of Saskatchewan-style pressure there to win. It's probably on another level.
It is. You know what? You have a media market here that's pretty tough, but also just a fan base that love their football team, and all they want to see is a championship football team, and they diehard fans. Win or lose, they will still at those games. Just unfortunately, in 2024, we wasn't able to deliver. But now I think they've they put a coaching staff together, and they had a good draft in the 2025 draft, and they feel good about where they are. So I wish them all the best. You know what? For Kerry Joseph and the coaching staff, it was just one of those things that didn't work out for us. I had a great experience coaching Caleb Williams and the quarterbacks in that room. So you take what you learn, you learn from some mistakes, and you push on to the next adventure.
What do you like about Caleb Williams going forward for the young guy?
I think he's a generational talent. I mean, I think he's a guy that can have a great career in the NFL. He's very talented, can make all the throws from different platforms. It's not easy for rookies in the NFL. I don't care who it is. You have some guys that have a lot of success, some guys that don't. He was kind of right there in the middle. We got banged up in some spots, but I just really like his competitive edge. He's a guy when the game is on the line, he's going to go out there and compete.
Let's go back now to your career. There's so many things I've been wanting to ask you and going back. Before the Riders, people will remember, you did have a little NFL career. It starts at quarterback after McNeese. You have a run with Cincy. When you go back to that, is anything that you would change that first run, going into Cincy as a QB?
You know what? I would not. It's crazy too that you say that and you brought that up. I had a long conversation yesterday with a good friend of mine, Jeff Blake, who was the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals at the time I was there. And so I wouldn't trade anything in because I was able to learn a lot. It only worked for 1 year, and then they moved on to another quarterback in my position. I wouldn't trade it in. I was able to get coached by a Hall of Fame guy and Kenny Anderson, who played quarterback. He was a great quarterback in the NFL. So I wouldn't trade it in for anything because that was part of my journey to go and to be where I am today.
You got to explain, first off, Washington. They see something different in you. How does that come about where you change positions or they give you a shot at a different position?
Well, the running back coach that was in Washington at the time, when I was coming out of college, he told me that when he missed at me coming out of college, he said, I'm going to make you a running back one day. So when the opportunity came and I was waived by Cincinnati, Washington claimed me off of waivers and moved me to running back. So I went from playing quarterback right into running back, and I had to kind of shift the mindset of, okay, now I got to carry the football and I got to block linebackers blitzing in the A gap. So my whole mentality had to change a little bit.
Were they somewhat patient with you on that?
You know what? They were. It was just unfortunately for me, we had a bunch of injuries in camp, so they had to fill some other spots because I was on all four special teams. So I had a chance, but unfortunately, because of some injuries and they had to, go some other directions on the roster, it didn't work out for me. But what it did do for me was the special team coach that was in Washington became the special team coach in Seattle. So when I switched to safety and went to Seattle, I already had a guy that was in my corner as a special team coach. So I just had to go out there and prove that I can play the safety position.
How does that conversation come about? Because it's like quarterback to running back. Okay, now I'm playing safety.
Well, you remember they had the NFL Europe at the time.
Yeah.
And so before I went to Seattle, I went to play with Ryan Fire in Germany. And I went over there as a quarterback. And after a week in the camp, I switched to defensive back. And the defensive coordinator at the time he's kind of upset. He told the head coach, he said, I don't want no lead quarterback playing in my secondary. And I said, Coach, give me 1 week and I promise you I'll be starting. And after that first week back there, I was a starting free safety for the Ryan Fire. We went on and won the World Bowl, and then I signed with Seattle as a safety. I never shot away from contact. So
Yeah.
I just had to kind of put the pieces together. And for me, I knew what offense was trying to do. I can tell concepts that you
Yeah.
were trying to run, and so it kind of helped me being on the back end. And all I look at it as when you play defensive back, especially at the safety spot, you're just a quarterback on the defensive side of the ball.
Is there one big tackle playing defense or interception or even knockdown that you hang your hat on? Somebody famous?
So I remember it was in the World Bowl playing against the Frankfurt Galaxy. And I knew in certain situations they would drag the tight end on a shallow cross at about 5 yards. And we actually have the right defensive call where I was coming down and I was kind of playing like a robber safety and can kind of float.
Yeah.
So I knew once I felt the concept, I knew the tight end was coming. So I just kind of delayed and the quarterback threw it to him. And as he touched the ball, I was able to light him up. And I took him like a 250-pound tight end, took him off his feet. So that was one of my biggest hits that I remember. And then also in Seattle, just, intercepting my first interception was against Doug Flutie when he was playing for when he was playing for Buffalo. So, and actually, uh, I want to. I picked him off twice in a. No, I could have intercepted him twice in that game, but I didn't. But that was my first interception with Doug Flutie.
Did you let him off the hook, or you just didn't get to it? You wanted that second one, right?
I wanted the second one. I should have, but I thought one of my teammates. I kind of pulled off because I heard one of my teammates say he was right there. So I kind of wasn't trying to be selfish, but I wish I would have and got my second one.
So after Seattle, you come up to Canada, end up in Ottawa. How does that come to fruition for you? How much did you know about the CFL? Were you kind of eyeing it up maybe that last year in Seattle, or did you know nothing about it?
I knew about the CFL. I've heard many stories about Warren Moon going there and
Yeah.
winning 5 Grey Cups, and uh, so I knew about it, but I really wasn't thinking about it. I knew coming out of college, I knew teams were inquiring about me going straight there, and I wanted to chase my dream of playing in the NFL. But I got the call from Eric Tillman. I was out a year in of the NFL and just kind of coaching high school ball. And, got the call from Eric to come up to Ottawa and to join the Renegades at the time. And, I thought about it and I just thought it was a great opportunity to go back and play the position I love to play. And I think the biggest challenge too, certain things people say to me challenge me. And I think the comment he made about, I know you haven't played quarterback in some years, so you can come up, take your time. And I know it'll take a little time. That's all I needed because I didn't have time, so I was going up there to prove that I can play the position, and it worked out for me.
Former Saskatchewan Rough Rider quarterback, Plaza of Honor member Kerry Joseph with us on the Western Pizza guest hotline. So then it's the dispersal draft, and you end up being picked up by Saskatchewan. Your first memories of coming to Sask?
Well, I remember before the dispersal draft, I remember myself and Yo Murphy. We was playing in Saskatchewan and it was freezing. And I remember I told him, I said, man, I never want to come play here. And I said, man, they can have this one here. And we both ended up in Saskatchewan. So I told him, I said, there we go. We kind of spoke this one into existence. But so but I remember getting the call when we went, when Ottawa folded, and I got the call from Roy Shivers, and he talked about wanting to take me in the dispersal draft, and I just signed the contract extension with Ottawa before they folded. And I
Mm.
remember it was, so a good chunk of change. So, Roy was like, I know you do a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, yeah, I said, but that's not my issue. I said, so I would love to be there, but I said, so if you pick me, I'm ready to roll. And he did, and I'm very grateful for Roy Shivers, Danny Barrett, who I still stay in touch with both of those guys. Danny more than Roy, but DB was good to me, and coming to Ryderville, I really Jim Hobson and those
Yeah.
guys, I appreciate them for bringing me on board.
2006, right? You guys get a taste of the postseason. Rider Nation, so excited. 2007, 12-6 season. You won the first, I think, 7 of 9. Did you guys know early in that 2007, maybe in camp, that you guys had a championship team?
Yeah, we knew. We had a feeling that it was something special built in Saskatchewan, and we had the same team that Danny and Roy put together, and then Kent and Eric came in, and they added some pieces in that puzzle, and so we really felt the closeness of that team, and you kind of know when you have that window and you have that opportunity, and we took advantage of it. There's a story with that one too, man. I remember losing to BC in that semifinals, and I mean the Western Finals.
West final.
It was West Finals in '06, and I remember watching them with the confetti and accepting the trophy. And I told Fred Perry, I said, "Man, we coming back here next year." I said, "And we're gonna win the West Final, and we're gonna go ahead on to the Grey Cup, and we're gonna win the Grey Cup." And I remember that moment. I actually shared that with Fred again, and Fred Perry remembers that story. So we was destined in '07. We just had to go out there and put the work in, and you know what? It was just a team that was tight knit, and we got it done.
Might be hard to answer. Who were you closest with on that team?
So Yo Murphy, dude followed me everywhere I went.
You guys went winter jacket shopping together once you got here.
Nah, the guy is my guy. You know what? We knew each other from the NFL. We first met each other back in '92. We played against each other in college, and then just to be around him, I would have to say that's my guy. I was probably the closest guy on the team. I was close to a lot of them now. I'm not taking away from any other relationship, but Murph was my guy.
Flick, Fantus, Dominguez, Corey Grant, Wes Cates, Zarka on that offense. A lot of personalities there, a lot of different personalities. Was there one for you as the quarterback that you kind of had to rein in a little bit, that you had to keep in check?
No, you know what? They all was pretty good, but they all were different, and you knew that. And the type of person I was always trying to, within the offense, to make sure everybody got a touch at some point in the game. Because I knew everybody wants the ball. So I knew that if I just early on get a touch here, get a touch there, I know the guys would be involved and they would be happy. And I would actually come to the sideline sometimes, and I'd turn over to say Fan Twos, "Hey, you got a catch yet?" And he was like, "No." So I would try to find a way to get him a catch at some point in that game. And once you do that, they all are pretty happy, and winning helps too. So, but you expect that when you got playmakers like that, and they all want their hands on the football, it's my job to try to get it to them. And you know what, the guys up front, O line, let's not forget about them guys, man.
Yeah.
They when I tell you. I wasn't worried about anything, and I knew they was going to protect me at all costs. Man, I appreciate it. I told Jeremy O'Day that, the other day when he was in Austin. Man, I appreciate them for keeping me upright.
Wes Cates told me yesterday that you owe him because you stole a few of the touchdowns. You took the bread out of his mouth that year on a few touchdowns.
Well, it's not my fault they call quarterback sneak. I mean, you get to the 1 yard West Kate. I'm gonna say this right now. If you're listening, I'm gonna say it live. My brother, I have nothing but love for you. I am sorry. I want to say I had like 13 touchdowns. Okay, I probably took 4 or 5 from you. So I'm sorry, West Case.
Right here. It's on the cage, of course. Now that you're coaching, do you go back? What would you have learned from Kent Austin?
Man, one thing about Kent, I remember him saying, man, playing the quarterback position is you got to walk a line. On one side is arrogance, the other side is confidence. But make sure you just walk the line, and especially don't fall to the arrogant side. And and he always say arrogance is just confidence under control. That's all it is. And just and how to see the game from an offensive perspective. I really appreciate Kent from '07. But not only '07. When I think about Joe Papa,
Mm,
Ken Austin in Ottawa, my first year, Kent was the
mm,
quarterback coach.
mm,
Joe Papa, quarterback guy. Then I get
mm.
Danny Barrett, Tommy Condell, who's still coaching in the CFL. I had a lot of great offensive minds
Yeah.
that helped me put my career together along that journey.
You guys win it 07. Everybody knows, it was such a drought for us. James Johnson, what a game he has. When's the last time you talked to him?
It's been a while. We'll catch each other on social media, check in with each other, and like guys that I might not talk to, if I see him on social media, I send him a text. Like Jason Onstead, we talked the other day, so we had a great conversation. So whenever I can, I try to make sure I connect with the guys.
A young Darian Durant, right? Like I said, we talk to him every Monday here on the show. When we talk, he was like, I never wanted to be third string. Like I wanted to play. And I thought, hey, I can always play. Do you remember teaching a young Darian Durant anything? Like, listen, son, we got it. It's the process here. What do you remember about a young doubles?
You know what? You think about Double D, he was there with myself and Marcus Crandall, and then he comes in, and the one thing I can say about him, he was very humble, but he was very hungry. And
Yeah.
he knew he wanted to play, which I expect that. Everybody expect that. But also he knew that just talking to myself, Marcus Crandall, watching, learning the game, that's where that was the benefit for him going forward.
Okay, I'll go here. Just a couple more. You get traded to Toronto, and then there's Edmonton, and then you retire. But then Sass convinces you to come back late in the I think it was 14 or whatever season that, and I remember that, and I'm like he was retired. What made you want to come back late in the year like that? Was that an easy decision?
It wasn't an easy decision. I knew like just the age gap in the locker rooms. I knew that when some things got a little tough for me on the training side, that was going to be at the back end of my career.
Yeah.
It wasn't a hard decision, but I did tell my wife that I wanted to some way retire with the Riders. And when
Mm-hmm.
that opportunity presented itself, good friend of mine, I talked to Cavis Reed, got his input, his thoughts about some things, and he kind of encouraged me to, hey, why don't you take that shot? And and I knew at the time George Cortez was there, so I knew the offense. And I said, you know what? Let me go close this chapter out. Might have not ended it the way I wanted to, but
Yeah.
it was great to go back and to be a part of the Rider Nation again.
Yeah, you retire as a rider, Plaza of Honor, like I said. When you talk to young guys about the CFL, maybe even Saskatchewan, what do you say?
I just tell them that, it's a college town. It's like playing in a college football town. They love the players. They love their football. It's a great place to play football. And I tell guys all the time that it's not a big city. Uh, so you can really focus in on your craft, focus in on what you're there for to get the job done. And when you're in a town like that, the team becomes close because you don't have a lot of things to do. So you find a way to do it together and you do things together and you grow that brotherhood. And I always tell guys, man, if you get a chance to do it, you think about the stadium, the people, the organization, so go there and give it your best shot.
Kerry, really appreciate this. Really looking forward to seeing, how you guys do in Texas this year. And what is it? Hook 'em horns, right? All the
Hook 'em
yeah.
horns.
There you go.
Hook 'em.
There you go. Take care. I know Rider Nation loves to hear from you, and hope we get to do this again.
Hey, and I know we was talking about Darian Durant, Double D, and that's my guy, man. You don't understand too. I was proud to see him wear number 4
Yeah.
and to go on and have the career he had. And I didn't have to say much to him because he was a student of the game and he just watched the way we worked and to see what his career turned out to be. Boom. Much love to you, doubles.
He talks about you the same way. All right, Kerry, best of luck this year.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, guys.